Thank you, Hare Krishna. I don't know if we have our reciters ready.
Hari,
Mataji, I'm ready.
I am here.
Oh, good, good. Who is going to recite today? Krishnavani Mataji, you're doing the Sanskrit, right?
I'm doing English, Mataji.
You're doing English. Who is doing the Sanskrit?
I'm doing Sanskrit, Mataji, Sandeep.
Sandeep Prabhu. Okay, okay. So you both are ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is 47. I guess we can start. Let me just share the screen. Let me just share the screen.
Okay. So,
Can you all see?
yes, Mataji.
So,
I'll start with the invocation.
yes, please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 11, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga. Verse 1. Arjuna Vacha Madanugrahaya Paramam Grahamadhyatma Sangitam Yat Vyoktam Vachastena Mohoyam Vikato Mama.
Translation. Arjun said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled.
Verse 2. Bhavapyayo hi bhutanam shuto vistarasho maya vatah kamal patraksha mahat mayamapi chavyayam.
Text 2. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories.
Verse 3. Evam etat yatha athat tvamatmanam parmeshvara drashtumichhami te rupam meshwaram purushottama.
O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see you how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours.
Verse 4. मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यं मया द्रष्टुमिति प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानम् अव्ययम्.
If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self.
Can everybody hear me all right? Because I just saw someone in chat saying.
We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
clearly.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Mother. So, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, verse 5. Pashya me parth rupani shatashoth sahasrashah nana vidhani divyani nana varna kruti nicha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine and multicolored forms.
Verse 6. Pashadityan vasun rudranashino maruthastata bahunya drashtapurvani pashya ascharyani bharata.
O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestation of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumars, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before.
Verse 7. Ihe kastham jagat krustanam pashyad sacharacharam mam dehe gurakesha yachanya dradrashtumichhasi.
O Arjun, Whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place.
Verse 8. न तु मां शक्यसे द्रष्टुं मन्येनैव स्वचक्षुषा दिव्यं ददामि ते चक्षुः पश्य मे योगमेश्वरम्.
But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence.
Verse 9. Sanjay Uvacha Evam Uktava Tato Rajan Mahayogeshwaro Hari Darshayamasa Parthaya Paramam Rupameshwaram.
Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna.
Verse 10 and verse 11. Anek Vaktranayan Manek Adbhut Darshanam Anek Divya Bharanam Divyanek Kodhyatayudham Divyam Divyamalayambar Divyagandhanulepanam Sarvascharyamayam Devam Anantam Vishwato Mukham.
Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding.
Verse 12. Divi Surya Sahasras.
Ashrasya Bhavet Yugapat Uttha.
I'm sorry, can everybody just mute yourselves except for Sandeep Prabhu and Krishnavani? Or should I unmute everybody and then maybe
You can mute and I'll unmute myself.
Yeah, okay. I will just mute all, please. Okay. Can Sandeep Prabhu and Krishnavani myself, please?
Verse 12. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhavedyugapatu Ditha Yadi Bhasadrashi Sa Ya Bhadasasya Mahatmanaha.
If hundreds and thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in the universal form.
Verse 13. Tatre Kastam Jagat Vatstanam.
Krishnam Pravibhaktam Anekada.
We have some very excited devotees. Mataji, I think we have to do mute unmute exercise again. Okay, I'll continue. Verse 13. Tatraikastham jagat krastanam pravibhaktumane kada apashya deva devasya sharire pandavastada.
At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands.
Verse 14. Tata sa vismaya vishto hashto roma dhananjayah pranamya shirsa devam krata anjalir bhashata.
Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord.
Arjuna vacha pashyami devans tav deva dehe sarvans tata bhuta vishesh sangan brahman misham kamalasanastha Nastham Rashinch Sarvanurangascha Divyan.
Arjuna said, My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents.
Verse 16. अनेक बाहूदरवक्त्र नेत्रं पश्यामि त्वं सर्वतोऽनन्तरूपम् नान्तं न मध्यं न पुनस्तवादिं पश्यामि विश्वेश्वर विश्वरूप.
O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning.
Verse 17. Kiritinam Gardinam Chakrinam Chate. No, sorry, I lost the. Sorry. Kirtinam Gadinam Chakrinam Cha Tejo Rasim Sarvato Deepti Mantam Pashyami Tvam Durnikishyam Samantad Deeptan Nalarka Duitam Aprameyam.
Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, spreading on all sides, like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, gloves, and discs.
Verse 18. Tvamaksharam paramam vede tvayam Tvamasya vishvasya param nidhanam Tvamavya shashvata dharma gopta Sanatanastvam purusho mato me.
You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all the universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion.
Verse 19. Anadi madhyantam ananta viryam Ananta bahum cha shisuryam netram Pashyami tvam deepta hutasa vaktram Swatejasa vishvam idam tapantam.
You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance.
Verse 20. Dyava prithviyor idam anantaram hi Vyaptam tvaikena dishascha sarvaha Drastvadbhutam rupam ugram tavidam Lokatrayam pravyathitam mahatman.
Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed.
Verse 21. Amihitvam sura sangha vishanti Kechid bhita prananjalayo grananti Swasti yuktva maharshi siddha sangha Stuvanti tvam stutibhi pushkalabhi.
All the host and demigods are surrounding before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfect being crying, "O all peace," are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns.
Verse 22. Rudraditya vasvo yecha sadhya Vishveshvinau marutas Osmapascha marutascha mapascha Gandharva yaksha sur Sindha sangha vikshante tvam vismitascheva sarve.
All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Siddhas, the Vishvedevas, the two Asvis, the Marutas, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder.
Verse 23. Rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahu bahurupadam bahudaram bahudranshta karalam drashta lokaha pravathitasthaham.
O mighty armed one, all the planets which with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth, and as they are disturbed, so am I.
Verse 24. Nabhasprasham deeptamanev kavarnam Vyatananam Deepta Vishal Netram Drashta hi tvam pravathitantaratma Dhratim na vindami shamam cha Vishnu.
O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouth, and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind.
Verse 25. Dranshtakaralani chate mukhani Drashteva kalanalasanibhani Disho na jane na labe cha sharma Prasid devesha jagannivasa.
O Lord of the Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered.
Verse 26. Ami chatvam dhritarashtrasya putraha sarve sahevavani sange Bhishmo Dronaha Sutputrastathaso Sahasam Diyarepi Yodhamukhe.
And 27?
Yeah, and 27. Vaktrani te tvarmana vishanti Dranshta karalani bhayanakani Kechid dilagna dashanantareshu Sandrashyante churniterutmange.
All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths, and some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth. Okay.
Do we recite till verse 27 then?
I think we just recited 27.
Okay, yeah, okay. Thank you. Sandeep Prabhu and Krishnavani Mataji, thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll just stop sharing this screen. So yeah, once again, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. We will continue with chapter 11, the universal form, and today we will be doing verse 16. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, we can.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you very
Yes,
much. Okay. I know some of you must be surprised that today it's actually normally Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu who does the class, but he had some other engagement and he had forgotten about it. So he called me this morning at not morning, actually afternoon, somewhere around 12. And he asked me if I can do today's session. So, so yeah, you I'm sorry, you'll have to bear with me. I didn't have much chance to prepare, but hopefully it'll be okay. So we will just recite the verse 16. Aneka bahudara vaktra netram pashyami tvam sarvato nantarupam nantam na madhyam na punastavadim pashyami vishveshvara vishvarupa. O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is unlimited. Thus, through Him, everything could be seen. We'll just recite the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Okay, So in the last few verses, what we have seen is after Arjuna has asked Krishna to show him his universal form, and then when Krishna displays this form, then Arjuna is actually, he's seeing all these forms and he's describing what he is seeing. So at this moment in this chapter, actually Arjuna is displaying the mellow or the rasa of astonishment. He's surprised, he's astonished, it is the adbhut rasa. In Sanskrit it is called adbhut. He's staring at him in wonder. So I think a lot of us on this group probably know that there are 12 rasas in which we can form a relationship with Krishna and how we relate to Krishna. So there are 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary rasas. Anybody wants to just call out and say what are the 5 primary rasas first, and then we'll go to secondary.
Yes, Mataji. Can Dasyam Sakhyam.
Bhagwati Mataji, is that you? I can't see the name. Was that Bhagwati Mataji, Divya Gaurangi Mataji? I'm not sure who was.
It was Hema as well. Hema.
Mataji. Okay, yeah. Hema Mataji. Yeah, you can start by the 5 primary rasas. Yeah.
Okay, so Sakhyam.
Yeah.
Vatsalya. Dasyam.
Yeah.
And Madhurya.
So also Shantaras, because
Shanta is the first one. Yeah, Shanta. Thank you.
Divya Gaurangi Mataji, do you want to say the 7 secondary rasas? Or anybody else, Bhagwati Mataji or anybody, whoever?
Yes, Mataji. The 7 anger, astonishment, chivalry, compassion, fear, ghastly.
Yeah, and fear and ghastliness come together, and hasya rasa. So there are
hasya, laughter. Yeah.
yes. So there are these 5 primary rasas, and then we have the 7 secondary rasas. Now, what the acharyas explain is that these 7 secondary rasas actually enhance a devotee's relation, like we'll actually see the example how it happens. So with a story. Now, everybody knows this story, but we'll talk about it again, because the more you listen to Krishna Katha, the more you relish it. So, there was a time when Krishna's friends and Balramji complained to Mother Yashoda that Krishna is eating dirt. And at that time, Mother Yashoda asked Krishna that, let me check your mouth. And obviously Krishna denied, and he says, Maya, why would I eat dirt? You give me such wonderful butter and such wonderful prasad, food. Why would I eat dirt? He says. But Mother Yashoda says, no, I want to see your mouth, because even Balram, who is your best friend and your brother, has complained about you, and Balramji is not lying. So I want to check your mouth. So at that time, when Krishna opens his mouth, Mother Yashoda could actually see the entire universe in the mouth, right? And at that time, again, she was struck in wonder. And she thought for a moment, what has happened to my child? Krishna, has something come over him? Is something wrong with him? Is he not well? But she was in wonder. Now, it says that, and we all know the story, that after this, didn't her love increase for Krishna, in the sense that she felt more protective? How do I protect my child? Let me go to Brahmanas, they will recite some mantras, and that way I will be able to protect my son. So her love actually increased. So our acharyas are explaining that these secondary rasas enhance the love of the pure devotees, and it increases their love then. And we have seen this many times, because when we see, even when the Rajvasis, when they are fearful of the things going around, like the instance of when, there was a forest fire and all the Gopas were caught in the fire. And when they asked Krishna to help them, all they could do at that time was, whenever they were fearful, all they would do is call out to Krishna. And when they saw that Krishna actually just swallowed the forest fire, the Gopas, not only were they wonderstruck, initially they were fearful, then they were wonderstruck, but then their love for Krishna increased, that, oh, our friend Krishna is so great. Even at that time, they did not think of him as the Supreme Personality. That aspect did not come to them. But their love increased, as in that, oh, my friend is so great. Krishna is so great, right? So, likewise, when they see, when Mother Yashoda sees Krishna, when Kalyanag has wound its coils around Krishna, she is so fearful for the life of Krishna that she actually faints with fear. But then when everything is fine and he's come back and he's with her, the intensity of her love increases. Now, in this chapter also, we are seeing that Arjuna, although he was in the primary rasa of Sakhya, he was in the rasa of friendship with Krishna. But for this moment, at this time, when he sees the universal form, he is actually struck with wonder and adbhut. He's amazed. He's astonished at what he's seeing, right? Now, we must understand that Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, and here he is playing a role. He's playing a role, and that is why he's struck with wonder. The interesting point here is, we won't dwell too much on this verse, because there's another very interesting another interesting thing that we need to discuss today. But what the acharyas are explaining to us is, Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is in an eternal relationship of friendship with the Lord. And we've seen in the previous verses that when Arjuna says, can I see your universal form, Krishna has given him divine vision, right? Now, my question to all of you is, why did Arjuna need divine eyes to see the universal form? Why do you think so? Because he was already seeing the original form of Krishna. So why did he need divine eyes to see this form? Anybody?
Mataji, it is very difficult to behold this form because yesterday Divyanam Prabhuji said that even thousands and hundreds and thousands of suns effulgence together might resemble the effulgence of this form. So if we can't look at one sun directly, if there are thousands of suns together, we need Divya Chakshu, different eyesight altogether with Lord's mercy.
Okay. Thank you, Divya Gaurangi Mataji. So this is obviously one of the most important fact that we cannot see the universal form with our current eyes. But what we need to understand here is
Mataji, is that because all of us are conditioned? So because Arjuna is seeing Krishna in the human form all the time. So he's not able to see the spiritual side of Krishna because he's also conditioned. His eyes are conditioned, his senses are conditioned, everything is conditioned.
Okay.
And
I don't get your name. It comes as
sorry, Mamta.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
So here, no, one thing we should understand is that Arjuna is not like us. He is a pure devotee of the Lord. So we are conditioned, yes, we cannot see, but Arjuna is not a conditioned soul. He is a pure devotee. And I will explain the reason, which is very, very interesting. Is there anybody else who wanted to say something?
Mataji, yesterday Divyanam Prabhu was also explaining that, like Krishna, Arjuna was seeing Krishna as, like Supreme Personality of Godhead, his form, that is, like very high. But to see the universal form, it has to be like downgraded. For that, he need this, like Divya Chakshu.
Absolutely correct, Krishnavani Mataji. This is exactly what I was looking for. This is what our acharyas explain. Baldev Vidyabhushan and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explain that in a way, Arjuna's eyes or vision had to be downgraded because what he was seeing initially, Krishna in his two-armed original form, is the higher form. The universal form actually is only temporary and it manifests only in this material world, right? So it is explained that in one sense, Arjuna was given divine eyes, but he was not given divine mind. And what is interesting is I have quoted this verse before, and I'm sure others also have. The verse from Brahma Samhita, which says, and I will quote it again because it is such a beautiful verse, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So you can see this Sham Sundar form, this two-armed Sham Sundar form. The pure devotees hold this beautiful two-armed form of Sham Sundar within their heart, and they can see it with their eyes anointed with love. Whereas this universal form, yes, you need spiritual vision to see it, but this vision that you're seeing is not, Arjuna is not right now seeing it with the eyes of love. So in a sense, it, like Divyanam Prabhu also said yesterday, it is a lower, he had to be downgraded in a sense to be able to see this universal form, right? But so that's one important aspect to understand also, that this universal form that Arjuna is seeing is being displayed for the first time, although Krishna has shown his universal form previously. But every form has got different aspects. So what Duryodhan saw in the court was different, what Mother Yashoda saw was different, and what Arjuna is seeing now is different, although they are all aspects of the universal form of Krishna. So in this verse, the translation is very clearly what stands out here is, I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. And interestingly, when we were reciting the verses, I don't know if any other of you noticed, but in the verse 19, also the same thing is being said, that there is no beginning and no end to this form. And here in the next verse, sorry, let me just go to the, yeah. So over here, this is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, verse 12. Okay. And I will just read the translation in a minute, as soon as I can clear this on my, sorry. Back, yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning, no end, and no middle. Nor does he belong to, I can't read that a bit, any person or nation. He has no inside or outside. The dualities found within this material world, such as beginning and end, mine and theirs, are all absent from the personality of the Supreme Lord. The universe which emanates from him is another feature of the Lord. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate truth, and he is complete in greatness. If one of you can please read the purport, because the purport really explains what the verse that we are discussing, 11:16, is also talking about. So it gives us a better idea. Does anybody want to read the
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Divya Mataji.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is described in the Brahma Samhita 5.1. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. For the Lord's existence there is no cause, for he is the cause of everything. He is in everything, Maya Tatam Idam Sarvam. He is expanded in everything, but he is not everything. He is Achintya Bheda Bheda, simultaneously one and different. That is explained in this verse. In the material condition, we have a conception of beginning, end, and middle, but for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are no such things. The universal cosmic manifestation is also the Virat Rupa that was shown to Arjun in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, since the Lord is present everywhere and all the time, he is the absolute truth and the greatest. He is coming in greatness. God is great, and how he is great is explained here.
Yeah. So again, very clearly in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining that it is only in the material condition that we have a conception of beginning, end, and middle. But for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are no such things. So I think our verse is quite clear. The purport, it's just a one-line purport. There's not much to it. The main thing was that, obviously Arjuna is seeing all this, describing, and he can see that there is no beginning or end for this universal form of Krishna. Now, with all of your permissions, what I want to do today is, can we discuss the appearance of Vaman Dev? Is that okay with all of you?
Please,
Yes,
Mataji.
ma'am. Haribol.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes,
So
Mataji.
yeah, let's go to that, because that is very interesting, I think, appearance of Vaman Dev. Okay, sorry, I'm not on this. Right. So I'm sure we all love listening to this story again and again. And for our participants who've not heard this story, I'm sure you'll be fascinated by this. Okay, so let's start from, Bali Maharaj, who is the son of Virochan and the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. So he comes from the family of demons. So once the demons and the demigods had a fight, and at that time, Bali Maharaj lost his life. He was killed. But then his guru, Shukracharya, he brought him back to life. And because Shukracharya brought him back to life, Bali Maharaj was obviously indebted to Shukracharya, and he performed lots of austerities and yajna to please his Guru Maharaj. Now, because he was able to please his Guru Maharaj, who comes in actually in the line of Bhrigu Muni, and we've all heard of Bhrigu Muni and the descendants, how great they are in terms of Brahmanas. So, because he was able to please his Guru, he got so much blessings, and he became so powerful that he became undefeatable. He could not be defeated by anybody. So after that, once he got all this and he got all this power, he gathered his army and he marched to Indrapur, where Indra was staying in his palace. Now, when Indra saw this huge army coming and he saw the effulgence of Bali Maharaj and the strength of him, he at once understood that there is no way that I can, or me or anybody can defeat Bali Maharaj. So what did Indra do? He went to his Guru Maharaj, Brihaspati, and imagine Indra, the lord of the demigods. He is shaking with fear and he does not know what to do. And he goes to his Guru Maharaj Brihaspati and he says to him, he asks for his advice. What should I do now? And what does Brihaspati advise to Indra? He says that Shukracharya right now is so powerful that there is no way that you can cause him any harm and you cannot defeat him. So the only thing you can do is that you will have to leave the kingdom and hide, right? So all the demigods headed by Indra, they had to leave everything, and they were completely poverty stricken and they had nothing. They were hiding like fugitives, like as if they are, on the run, and they cannot show themselves in front of the demons because they would be killed. Now, what happens is, seeing the state of the demigods, Indra in this condition, Indra's mother, Aditi, is very, very upset. But before we go to that, let's hear a backstory. Because, the first question people would ask is, oh, but Indra is the demigod and why is he losing everything? Now, there is a backstory to this. So once what happened was, Durvasa Muni, the sage Durvasa Muni, and we've all heard that Durvasa Muni actually he can get angry at times, isn't it? There are many stories in our Shastras about Durvasa Muni. But this story is interesting. So one day Durvasa Muni was walking on the road, and he saw Indra, who was on his elephant Airavat, and he was going as well on that same path. Now, Durvasa Muni was on his feet, he was walking, and Indra was on the elephant, but which is proper etiquette also, because Indra was the king, Durvasa Muni is just a sannyasi. So Durvasa Muni, in order to give his blessings to Indra, he was wearing a very beautiful garland, and he took that garland off and he offered it to Indra. Now, Indra, not, being puffed up and not really understanding the value, what he did was he put it around his elephant's trunk. Now, obviously, elephants do not understand the value of maha, 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 like how we do, isn't it? So the elephant took the garland off and he threw it down, and while walking, not intentionally, but while walking, crushed the garland under his feet. Durvasa Muni, seeing this, realized that Indra is so full of pride and he's got so much ego because of his power, his wealth, and all of these things. So he cursed him and he said to Indra that you will lose everything. So this is the backstory, and now this is exactly what is happening. So now we've come to the present time where Indra is running away, he is hiding along with the other demigods, and he has lost everything. He is in fear of Bali Maharaj. Now, seeing this, Indra's mother, Aditi, the mother of the demigods, is very, very upset and sad. She's sad that her children have no shelter. They are running helter-skelter. She can't even speak to her children. She cannot see them. A mother is a mother, whether she is the mother of a demigods or whether she is the mother of the demons. Even though, she knows in her heart that yes, maybe Indra has made some mistakes and done something wrong, but she is the mother. She still has that love, and she does not want her children to go through any kind of sufferings. But she is helpless at that moment because her husband, Kashyapa Muni, is performing austerities and she cannot disturb him. So she has to wait. When Kashyap Muni comes out of his austerity, of his performances, he obviously asks Aditi, why are you so upset? Is everything okay in our ashram? Sorry, devotees, I think I might go a little over time. I hope it is okay with all of you, because this is such an interesting story.
Carry on, Mataji, carry on.
Thank you. So, so Aditi is, Mother Aditi is sad and she is anxious for her children, and she speaks to Kashyapa Muni, and Kashyapa Muni says to her, the only thing that you can do at such time is pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev. And he advises her to perform this Payovrata fasting, which is a very, very severe kind of fasting, severe austerities. It is devotional service, but very severe. And she performed this, and after 12 days, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared. And he appeared, and immediately he said to Aditi, I know what you want from me. I know why you are anxious. I know you are worried about your children. And I will appear as your son. Yeah, I will appear as your son in order to help the demigods. Right? So then he appears as Vamandev. So first he appears in his four-armed form as Narayan, and then in front of them, in front of Aditi and Kashyapa, he takes the form of a beautiful Brahmin boy with golden body, golden hair, and he takes the form of a dwarf. So he is as a dwarf, and he is Vamandev. So when he appears, now the sages and the demigods, they know that this is Krishna, right? So they all come to offer their obeisances to him. They are all very pleased and happy, and they come to give gifts to him. So he is given this deer skin, Rudrakshamala. He is given the Kamandalu, the water pot by Brahmaji. Okay, so this is Vamanadev. Now, what happens in the meantime is that Bali Maharaj, he's a very good ruler, although he is from the family of demons, he is a very good king, right? And he is performing 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas. And currently, he is performing a yagya on the banks of the Narmada River. So, what is interesting today is we are discussing the 11th chapter, the universal form, and here also we will discuss the universal form. So we can relate these two very nicely. So on the banks of Narmada, where Bali Maharaj is performing his austerities, Vamandev appears there as a Brahmin boy. Now, when Bali Maharaj saw this little dwarf Brahmin, so beautiful and so effulgent, his heart was filled with love, right? And as is the etiquette, he stood up to offer honor and welcome the Brahmin. And he made him sit on an elevated seat. He washed his feet. And then he asked him, what can I offer you in charity? You have come to this place. You have made this place, with your presence. You have honored us with your presence. And this place has become holy. So what can I offer you in charity? He obviously he offered, I can give you cows, I can give you jewels, I can give you houses. So Bali Maharaj offered him everything that you, in those days, the kings would offer a Brahmana, and showed him full honor and full respect, right? What did Vaman Dev ask for? What did Vaman Dev ask for?
Three steps of
Three
Land.
3 steps.
3 steps
Yeah,
of
he
land.
asked for land.
So Vaman Dev asked for 3 steps of land. Now, when Vaman Dev asked for 3 steps of land, Bali Maharaj was completely surprised, because in his mind, and not only was he surprised, he was a bit, he thought to himself, I am the king. I have so much to give. And here this dwarf boy is asking only for 3 steps of land. And with his size, how much will he cover in 3 steps? See, this is the way Bali Maharaj is thinking, right? But then he says that, okay, he's in his mind, he's thinking. In the meantime, his guru, Shukracharya, comes up. Shukracharya is very intelligent. We must remember that Shukracharya, he's a Brahmin, and he has performed lots of austerities. He knows the Shastras in and out. He's very intelligent, and he realized that this dwarf boy is not just an ordinary Brahmin boy, right? So he advises Bali Maharaj, as his guru, he advises, you must not listen to this dwarf boy. You do not give him what he's asking for. Bali Maharaj says, but I have given my promise. I have promised. And Shukracharya, in order to convince him, he says, no. And he quotes from the scriptures different circumstances and situations where one can break his promise. Right? Now, it's very interesting. Our acharyas teach us that such a guru who is trying to take you away from the path of devotional service is not a real guru, right? But now Bali Maharaj is thinking, Bali Maharaj is an honest man. He's a man of integrity, and he is thinking, there's nothing more sacred than truthfulness. What is the use of all this material opulence if I have lost my honor? Truthfulness is very, very important. In fact, our acharyas tell us that in Kali Yuga, the last living leg of religiosity, the last living leg of dharma is truthfulness. What are the other legs of dharma? Anybody? There are 4 legs of dharma. One is truthfulness. What are the other 3 legs of dharma?
Mercy, cleanliness,
Cleanliness,
austerity.
austerity.
Was that Rupa Mataji or Rishangi Mataji? Rishangi Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Yes. So the other legs are mercy, kindness, austerity, and cleanliness. And as a little bit of a, not like a homework, but it'll be interesting for all of you. I'm sure most of you know it, but it's interesting to see how the regulative principles that we follow, which has been set by Prabhupada, how they will be related to these 4 legs. Please look it up for yourselves as a reading matter, and it's very interesting to find that out. So anyway, so in Kali Yuga, the only last leg is left, and that also is wobbling, is truthfulness. Correct? Yeah. So Bali Maharaj now is in a predicament. He is thinking, either I break my promise to Vaman Dev, or I defy the order of my guru. Yeah. Shukracharya also says, I will curse you. But Bali Maharaj has no fear. He did not fear, because he comes in the lineage of Prahlad Maharaj, right? And he is one of the 12 Mahajans. Okay. So Bali Maharaj, he has no fear, and obviously he is surprised. Why is Vaman Dev asking for 3 steps of land? And he asked the Brahmin boy, he says, I am willing to give you so much more, but why do you want only 3 steps of land? And Vaman Dev at that time, there are many important things to learn from this story. So Vaman Dev at that time says, if I am not satisfied with 3 steps of land, I will not be satisfied with the entire material universe. Right? So I do not want anything. I only want these 3 steps of land. And then finally, obviously, then Bali Maharaj, he says, yes, okay, you can take the 3 steps of land. And then what happens? Vaman Dev displays his universal form, right? With the first step, he covers all the lower planets and the middle planets. With the second step, he covers the higher planetary systems, and he in fact pierces the covering of the universe, and from that crack a drop of water appears. And what is that drop of water?
Ganges, River Ganges.
That's it. So
Ganga.
that is the origin of Ganga Devi, right? So he in fact covers the higher planetary systems as well. Now he's already covered everything. Now Bali Maharaj had promised him the third step. So at this time, Vamana Dev's associates, Garuda appears on the scene, and he says, oh, Bali Maharaj is a liar. Where is he going to give the third step? So he binds up Bali Maharaj. He ties him up, and then he takes him in front of Vaman Dev. Now the associates of Bali Maharaj, the demons, are thinking that, oh, why is he tying up our king, our Maharaj? And they want to fight Vaman Dev. They want to harm him. But Bali Maharaj says, no, please don't do anything to him. And then Vaman Dev appears in front of Bali Maharaj and says, well, you promised me 3 steps of land. What do I do for the third step? And as you can see in the picture, at that time, Bali Maharaj surrenders and says to Vaman Dev, I give you everything. My life, my body, my mind, my soul, everything belongs to you. Please place this third step on my head. And then, as you can see in the picture, that is exactly what Vaman Dev does. He places his leg on Bali Maharaj's head. Now, so like I said, from this story, there are many interesting points to take away. The most important one is the surrender of Bali Maharaj, right? So when, what is Bali Maharaj's psychology at that time, what he is thinking? He is thinking the Lord is more merciful to the demons. Such an interesting concept, because if you think about it, the Lord always comes to help the demigods. Whenever the demigods are in trouble, he comes, he takes, he supports them. He gives them so many riches. He gives them everything that they want. And still, Bali Maharaj is saying that he's more merciful to the demons because he takes everything away from us. Why do you think he says this? Anybody?
It's an indication of total surrender.
Yeah, so the verse here, which is one of my favorite verses. Does anybody want to read the Sanskrit on this? If not, then I will. Okay, I'll read it. Tattenu kampam shushamikshmano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvag vapurbhir vidadan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadaya bhak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances within his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So our acharyas also tell us, and Prabhupada in many of his lectures, he says that when the Lord is extremely merciful on you, he takes away everything from you. Because when he takes away everything and when you have nothing, at that time, in that mood, when you completely surrender to the Lord, knowing that there is nobody and nothing who can protect you except for the Lord. And when you surrender in that mood, that is the time that Lord appears to you. And that is why Bali Maharaj's surrender is, his mood is that now the Lord has taken away everything from me. But the Lord has come to me. And as we all know, the end of the story is that when Vamandev sees this surrender of Bali Maharaj, he is so pleased with him that he gives him the planet Sutala. And Bali Maharaj's grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, says, I also will go and live on this planet Sutala. And Vamandev agrees to become the doorkeeper in this planet. So can you imagine, this is where when Prabhupada and all our acharyas teach us that the Lord becomes captured by the love of his devotees. Nothing else can capture the Lord. You cannot bind the Lord with anything except for your love. And we can see here that Bali Maharaj, with his love, has captured Vamandev. The Lord appears actually to glorify his devotees. And we have got various examples, like when he appears as Narsingadev, he appears to glorify Prahlad Maharaj. When he appears as Krishna, he appears to glorify the love that the Vrajvasis have for him. And when he is appearing now as Vamandev, in his own way, he is appearing to glorify Bali Maharaj. Right? So this is the beautiful story of the appearance of Vamandev and Bali Maharaj. Vamandev ki jai. Bali Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. If there are any comments, any questions, please feel free. Any corrections?
Wonderfully narrated, Madhu Mataji. Very nice.
Thank you so much, Bhagavati.
You made our day today.
Thank you for your encouragement. Like I said to you, it was completely last minute. I was only asked at 12 o'clock to do this class. So I've just done, prayed to Guru Maharaj, and that's it.
Krishna is testing you. That's the reason.
Yeah, but it's any service when you surrender to Guru Maharaj, then that's it. Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, I'm sure it's fine, and all of you devotees. So I don't worry now, because now this has become one family. So I don't feel like I'm talking to strangers. It's a family.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Can I just say, I don't know whether this story I read as a child, like Shukracharya, how does he try to stop Balidev? I think he goes to the extent of becoming like a insect in the Kamandala of I don't know if I think something the water, maybe the water has to be given to say that okay, this is, you can take that. So he'll try to stop him from even becoming like a insect. So Bali Maharaj will actually poke him. And then that's how he gets his one eye gone, is because of this story. I'm not sure whether you heard of that.
It's interesting. So, I haven't heard it, but interesting story. It's nice. We can look it up. It probably will be there somewhere. Yeah.
That's where Shukracharya has only like one eye, because this is where he loses his eye.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing.
Yes, I've heard this story as well, Mataji.
Nice.
And like before, when they do charity or something, they have to do the achmana.
Yes.
For the achmana, so from the the achman pot, he has to use the water. So that's why Sukracharya went in. So if the water does not come out, then the Bali Maharaj cannot, offer this, charity to Vamandev.
Okay.
So that was the story.
Interesting. Krishnavani Mataji, is it in anywhere in our Bhagavatam? It will be nice to read it up.
I have heard it, so I'm not sure, but I've heard the story so many times.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to look it up. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other?
Mataji, can I ask something?
Yes. Yes.
So, you said that when Vamandev appeared, he was first in four-armed form and then he became Vaman. So that means he came as an expansion of Vishnu, not Krishna himself, isn't it? He came as an expansion of Vishnu.
Expansion of Vishnu. That is what I have read. But then Vishnu is Krishna. Like our acharyas say, they are non-different. So In that
Yes.
sense, they are non-different.
Because even Krishna, when he appears, he comes as a four-armed form and then turns into a human kind of looking
That's
baby, isn't it? Yeah.
Like,
So,
yeah, go on.
so then linked to that, I was listening to Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj's lecture, and he said that if any Vishnu form is of demons, if Vishnu kills a demon, which is like Bali Maharaj was a demon, then they never go back to Golok Vrindavan. They only go to Brahma Jyoti and they eventually come back. And if Krishna kills a demon like Putna, then they go back to Golok Vrindavan. So how does then Bali Maharaj would, obviously he's got Patala Lok, so he went there. He went there, no? He wouldn't have gone back to.
Yeah, because in this case, Bali Maharaj was not killed by Vamandev.
Yes.
He wasn't killed because he just surrendered, and he was in fact given a planet, given a complete planet, to not be annihilated also.
Yes.
So he wasn't killed. That was the difference. Yeah.
But if demons are, then they go back to Brahma Jyoti. They come back, do they? Yeah, that's what Maharaj was saying.
I have not heard that, but of course you're saying Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj said that. So yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, all the demons who died, or who were killed, if they were killed by Krishna, even then they went into Brahma Jyoti because they were not thinking favorably of Krishna.
But isn't it true that when Putana was killed, she was given the role of a nurse?
Because of her desire.
Yes.
Krishna, that was the mercy of Krishna. But she went to Golok Vrindavan, but not like Mother Yashoda has the position. She has got somewhere very low place.
Yeah.
That's where because Krishna never drank the milk.
Yeah, no, true. She's got a low place, but she's still
goes back to Golok Vrindavan.
But in a very low
place. Yeah.
Not where there isn't a place like what the position that Yashoda Maya holds. Putna doesn't hold that position.
No.
Even though she comes as a nurse.
Yeah.
Yes.
But most of only Putna is the one who went to Golok. Others have gone to Brahma Jyoti.
Okay.
That's what I have heard.
Okay.
Mataji, can I share? Oh, sorry.
No, go on, Divya Gaurangi Mataji, go on.
Oh, just Mataji, related to this, I was reading and I heard in Amirendra Prabhu's class, and then I looked up that in Brahma Vaivarta Puran, it is said that Putna was Ratnamala in her previous life, and she was present at the time this pastime takes place.
Right.
So when she saw this little boy Vamanadev, she was overwhelmed. To see he was only 5 years old and covered in the deer skin. He looked extremely saintly and epitome of sweetness and beauty. So then she had these feelings towards Vamandev that she wanted to nurse him, and she was very affectionate towards him. But later when Lord saw that in Putna, in Ratnamala, and at that time itself Lord gave benediction in his mind that one day she will be able to nurse the Lord as a mother, or at least she will come with those feelings. But soon after, when Vamandev took the form, big form, universal form, her feelings changed into hatred because she felt that Lord cheated and took 3 steps from her brother. Instead of small steps, everything was gone. So that's when she said that I will come and feed you, but then I will kill you. So that's how Putna.
Thank you for sharing, Divya Gaurangi Mataji. I've heard this in even Gauranga Darshan Prabhu's lectures, Pastimes of Putna.
Yes, we all have heard.
Yes,
It's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, this pastime.
So, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
There is also stories about this, this Bali Maharaj, like, the Raksha Bandhan, Rakhi.
Yes.
Yes.
Please tell us the story, Meena Mataji.
I don't know exactly, but maybe you know.
Bali Maharaj and Rakhi, I remember the story of Yamraj and that Bali Maharaj and Rakhi. Does anybody else remember? It does not come into my mind.
No, I think it's Yamraj and it's
And
not.
also, yes, it's also Bali Maharaj and Rakhi. So like when Bali Maharaj,
Oh,
like
no, we
when
don't know
Vaman
that.
Dev was his
No,
gatekeeper.
sorry, can I say Bali Maharaj is linked to Bhai Bij after Diwali?
That I remember. That I kind of
Bali
hear.
Maharaj is linked to that. Then Lakshmi Devi goes and asks Bali Maharaj, I will tie you Rakhi. And then Bhai says, what do you want? He says, liberate my, can I take my husband back to Vaikuntha? Because he was guarding the,
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's when that's linked to Bhai Dooj.
Thank you, Hema Mataji. This I have heard because I have not heard the other. I mean, I was not clear about that Raksha Bandhan. That was Yamraj and Yamuna Devi, isn't it? That is their brother and sister. That's what they.
Yeah, no, but I heard like, he has also like in Rakhi, I don't know what he called, but yes, he has put like, there's the Bali Maharaj hand.
Hema Mataji just
Cotton.
explained. Yeah, Hema
So
Mataji
it's
explained.
Bhai Buj also you do that thing?
Yes, yes, Mataji. Yes, that is, Bhai Dooj is a celebration where the sisters are praying for their brothers and all of this. So it's similar kind of thing. Similar kind.
If you look up on the website just now, King Bali and Goddess Lakshmi is on a Raksha Bandhan.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
The tale of the King Bali and Goddess Lakshmi epitomized the pious bond of Raksha Bandhan.
Wow. Okay.
But I don't know if this is Hindu or it is, we so mixed up with Hindu and our.
It's so true. Yeah. That's
so
why
we don't know.
Yeah, that's why I mean, we don't know. We have to research some things, that's why sometimes I don't say things which I'm not sure of.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah, we cannot speculate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes. Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah. One comment, like as we were discussing about the demons, how the demons go to Brahmajyoti, but actually they say, because these demons, they come from the different, either they come from Vaikuntha or whatever their place is. So after they get liberated, they go back to their original place. So some they go to Vaikuntha, some go to even the planet, material planets, in the heavenly planets. So wherever they are, they go there.
I think I would agree with you, Krishnavani Mataji, because if you think about the demons like Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha,
yeah,
we know that they were Jai and Vijay in the planets guarding the doors, and they came to have pastimes with the Lord.
Yeah, true.
The thing that we must remember is that anybody who has pastimes with the Lord is an associate of the Lord, actually.
True. Very true. Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's why they go back after finishing the pastime. They go back to the original places.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Krishnavani Mataji.
Thank
you all of you for participating. It's I like this kind of when everybody is participating, because then we all learn. It's nice like this. Thank you all of you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve all of you. And please forgive me for if any mistakes, because it was quite a last minute preparation. So thank you very much.
It was very nice, beautiful.
Wonderful. We understood so nicely.
You did it so
Thank
nicely.
you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for allowing me to
Hare